Hi, my name is Chapman and I'm starting my own business. And I want to invite you to come along and follow this video series and take any idea that you have, take it off the shelf and get out there and build it and release it to the world. In this video, we're going to go through, we're going to keep going through with the installation of our WordPress server. So at this point, we should have all the hardware configured, and now it's time to do the last little bit tweaks needed to get WordPress in there. So I'm going to keep going on the WordPress installation link in the description, and we'll see that the next step is securing our site with an SSL. Now, an SSL is something that's absolutely going to be required by Google as soon as early 2017. Otherwise, your rankings are going to degrade very fast. So SSLs are free to set up using Let's Encrypt, which is a big improvement over how SSLs were in the past. So let's go ahead and walk through that process right now. So if you have a domain name, follow it here. If you do not have a domain, follow it for a self-assigned guide. Now, I've gone the extra step and purchased a .com through Namecheap a while ago. So one of my spare .coms, and I've set that up to point at DigitalOcean so that DigitalOcean can serve that out. And we'll cover that in a separate video if you really want to know the gory details there. Just know that you don't have to set it up with a .com, but I am choosing to do that. So I'm going to follow the guide for Let's Encrypt and go from there. So Let's Encrypt. Knowing or going through all this information is pretty good, but for right now we're going to skip it because I've already read through this. But what I do need to do is I need to sudo install apt-get Let's Encrypt, and I will say yes. So what's going to happen here is we need to install a couple things into our existing configuration. We need to modify Nginx to allow Let's Encrypt to work. And to do that, we'll go ahead and add this location to the server block. So down here at the bottom, let's add another location. And just keep everything nicely aligned. So this is going to add the well-known directory to our location of var www.html. So just make sure that it looks good, the syntax is good. We're going to restart. All right. So next up, I'm going to paste that in here, and I'm going to say I want to change the specific areas. That looks good. Example.com. All right. So we're going to change out example.com to reactivepixel.com and www over to reactivepixel.com as well. So I run that command. I want you to give it a no spam. So basically with these SSLs, it's just the way that we can recover that information is why we're baking, while we're adding our email address to there. So ideally this we have a problem right here, failed authorization, because it wasn't able to find www.reactivepixel.com. So if I go to www.reactivepixel it's bad. But if I go to Reactive Pixel, it's good. So this is all just fixed in my networking for the .com that I've added of Reactive Pixel. View the domain. And what's happening here is I need to add a CNAME of www reactivepixel.com and then dot, because that's just how it is. So now we have a CNAME for www. So when we go to reactivepixel.com, but with the prefix of www, it now officially works. So we can try and rerun this. If I press up, it reruns the last command, or I can keep pressing up for the older commands. And we'll see if it flies this time. Congratulations, much better. Got it. So now one thing to remember is that this certificate is only good for 60 days or 90 days, I think. Yeah, 90. But it's recommended that you renew your certificate every 60 days just so that there's no gap in coverage. But we'll worry about that at the end of things. We'll create an automated script just to do that for us. So I'm going to go ahead and create a symbolic link, an LS, to reactivepixel.com, like so. And then we need to generate a fairly large security key here. So what's happening is it's finding some very large prime numbers, multiplying them together, creating a public and a private key, and basing all of our encryption off of that in a nutshell. Some pretty complex stuff, but nicely done for us in just a short amount of time. They say it takes a long amount of time, but you'll see that it's a lot shorter than you might think. It's much easier to calculate a key than to brute force through all possible keys. So we are all set there. All right, so it dumps it into that location, which we'll use here in a second. But as I keep scrolling through here, I'm going to want to edit a snippet. So I'm going to go ahead and edit a snippet for reactivepixel.com.conf. And in it, I'm going to want to put those certificates that were created, but again, changing it out to Reactive Pixel. Exit, yes, save. And with that now in place, I'm going to nano my SSL params. So we will grab all of this information, paste it in, and as we look through this, there's nothing that we need to specify specifically. And I'm going to go ahead and save the file and close. So now that that has been changed, you'll see actually right here they're making a backup of that, but we don't need to do that. We can just directly edit our default server, and we're going to modify some things here. We're going to set up our server to redirect if an unsecured connection comes through. So right here after right here we're going to say server underscore name reactivepixel.com or www.reactivepixel.com. if something comes in there on port 80, which is the unsecure standard web port, we want to redirect them over to the HTTPS version of our server name and pass over the whatever string that they added on there. So with that in place, we'll create a second server. And that will do all of these things. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this as well because we don't want the wrong name in the wrong spot. So reactivepixel.com.conf was what we called it. This is the location of our files. That is correct. And everything looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Going to do the old nginx test. So sudo nginx-t. Syntax is okay. So let's go ahead and look at our firewall. And the firewall basically says everything's good for us to enable SSH, because we want SSH for HTTP. So we're going to add full, and we're going to remove HTTP. And what that does, oops, not remove, it's delete. So with that, when I do a status, now we have access to the nginx full, which is also inclusive of the secure routing. So now we've just done that, and it's time to restart nginx. So in doing that, in a browser, we can now test if our configuration was good. reactivepixel.com. And here we'll see it's the big test. All right, we are authenticated. This means that other computers will see our certificate as valid, meaning that I can now go to, well, actually just going to reactivepixel will redirect us to HTTPS. So we are now more secure. So if you were running like a bank website, or any website really, and someone's accessing your website through a public hotspot through Starbucks Wi-Fi, anyone on that Wi-Fi network has the ability to sniff your traffic. They've got the ability to see what you're sending to your bank or see what websites you're going to. But simply by securing things with SSH, or I'm sorry, with an SSL, that no longer makes that as possible. And one of the key things to remember with computing, nothing is ever hacker proof, but we can significantly increase the difficulty. So that is what we have just done there. So now remember, that's going to, this is going to be the command that we want to renew our server with. But it's going to not yell at us, but it's going to skip it because we're not yet up for renewal. That should happen every few days, or every 60 days. So to do that, so that we never have to remember to do this renewal, I'm going to run a cron tab. I'm going to do it with nano. This is the editor that we've been using at the very bottom. I'm going to add these commands. And what this is going to do is it's going to, every Monday at 2:30 a.m., that's 2:30 a.m. once a week, the first day of the week, it's going to run that command that we just ran a second ago, and it's going to output whatever was saved to this file in your system. And then it's going to reload nginx. at that point. So it's going to renew and everything will be good. So I'm going to exit out, save, and that is all set up. So we have fully secured our server. Initially, anyways. As I've said in other videos, we want to get in there and get this done. Whether it's ugly or beautiful, just launch it. And this is the first step to securely launching your server. So we're going to conclude right there. And in the next video, we're going to go through the last steps of actually installing WordPress now that our server is fully configured.